The Electoral College was, from the beginning, a political deal. A deal that was designed to allow states with small populations to have more of a say in presidential elections.
The framers of our Constitution created a system that was most politically salient in a much different time, and that they expected to evolve over time.
Here's what you need to know about the framers. They weren't all necessarily fans of a direct election, but they did believe that voters, at the time landowning white men, should choose their leaders through elections. But according to Akhil Amar, professor at Yale University's law school, there was another major obstacle for the idea of people directly voting for president.
The fundamental problem with direct election is the South will lose every time because a huge percentage of its population are enslaved people, and obviously slaves won't be voting.
In order to pad their population numbers, Southern states wanted enslaved people in their states to count. The bigger your state's population, the more money you'd receive from the federal budget, and the more representation you'd get in Congress.
And so, after a series of debates, Northern delegates reached a deal with Southerners. Enslaved people would count as 3/5 of a human being towards their population numbers.
Many slaveholding states wanted that racialized population calculus carried over to electing the president, and they eventually came up with a plan that they thought could win enough support from both Northern and Southern states. They didn't give it a name at the time, but it would come to be called the Electoral College. And while the framers expected this process would need to be updated, the way we select a president has only been amended once, in 1800, 220 years ago.
During that amendment process, there was talk from Northern states about just doing away with the Electoral College altogether. But Southern states had no incentive to get behind this, so the Electoral College remained. And after the Civil War and the passage of the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, their resistance to direct election only grew stronger.
It's the oh crap moment, because now we've got rid of slavery. So what happens to 3/5? It becomes 5/5, because now technically everyone is free.
Suddenly, former slaves were fully counted in their populations. And now the former Confederacy wielded even more power. Because the Electoral College system rewards population over participation, Southern states started to systematically keep Black citizens from voting.
So actually, the South is going to have more seats in the Electoral College than ever before, more seats in the House of Representatives, and they're not letting their people vote.
By suppressing Black voters, the Southern states actually got a better deal when the 3/5 compromise ended. And this impacted the presidency through the rest of the 1800s and even into the 20th century.
The only other substantial challenge to the Electoral College came in 1968. And once again, racist politics were involved. A third-party candidate named George Wallace nearly caused an electoral crisis, threatening to pull enough delegates away to deny Richard Nixon the majority.
George Wallace, who was a segregationist, didn't end up with enough electoral votes to send the presidential election to Congress to decide. But his candidacy and Nixon's tight popular vote margin were enough to push Congress to consider an amendment to the Constitution that would essentially end the Electoral College.
But then, it hit a wall. Southern states were once again concerned they would lose power and be forced to accept the policies of a growing civil rights movement. And eventually, the proposal was defeated by filibuster.
Since then, we've had 2 elections where the president has won the Electoral College but lost the popular vote. And the way things are now, a small group of swing states kind of decide each election, leaving a lot of people to wonder, does my vote even matter?
We did a whole series of episodes on the history of our election system called Misrepresentative Democracy. Check out all 3 episodes and subscribe at npr.org/throughline.